All right, here we go. Welcome to Living by Oak Values. So I'm dropping everything here. Today, AJ and I are going to be discussing biblical masculinity and what else was that again? Man, I
Well,
screwed this up yesterday on the promo.
yeah, it's
Biblical,
okay.
biblical masculinity, along with not allowing people to
Define
find who you are.
by them, X relationships
Yes,
or anything to do
relationships,
with their
people in your
past.
life, whoever. Yes. Okay. AJ and I just got back from a retreat with the church, and these are a few things that we discussed, and we're going to also throw a spin on it for relationships, for men in our group, for coaching in general, and some of it will actually apply to women also, I believe. AJ, why don't you tell them about the retreat and what your takeaways were?
Um, all right, so we had our men's retreat, upstate New York. We had a lot of prayer. It was a strictly men's meeting. It was a lot about learning about masculinity, understanding our purpose as men, understanding why God placed us on this earth, more or less, and what our roles and responsibilities are, what not to hold on to remember to always be guided by the Bible, be guided by Scripture, make sure that the things that we do are routed and healthy biblical masculinity.
So if you're not into the Bible, how does that apply to you?
It's a tough one. I don't really know. So I mean, you need a higher power.
There you
You
go.
need a higher power. Our higher power is God because we're Christians. But yeah, if you don't believe in God, then yeah, you need a higher power. But without a doubt, quote our friend Joel. Sorry, Joel, if I mess up your words a little bit, but the Bible is the first men's coaching book that was ever written. There is some of the best information you're ever going to read or receive in that book. It's also the most widely published, bought, sold, and read book in the world. I was actually looking at that last night. There is no book that has ever even came close. Even the Quran is almost 7 million copies less than the Bibles. Just
Really?
because yeah, yeah.
How
It
about
was
May
like
December end? Isn't that like better?
I
Better
mean,
sellers?
May, December end definitely should be up there in the millions. I could definitely agree there, without a doubt. May, December end should be up there. But yeah, so even if you don't believe in God, you need to have a higher power. Having a higher power, believing in something that is larger than you is really important. Understanding what a man's role is in this world so that you understand the difference between masculinity, a healthy masculinity,
Yes, or non-toxic masculinity.
non-toxic.
I think. Is it I know there's toxic and then there's I guess
Yeah.
non-toxic?
Yeah,
That's how they
pretty
make
much.
crayons, right? Everybody loves crayons.
Yeah.
So
What was
today's
one
core
thing?
mess what's up?
What was your
My biggest takeaway was definitely the importance of having that masculinity, the importance of for us, listening to God, not others, which would convert to listening to your high power. Don't listen to the neighbor or your ex-wife or your wife or whoever might be at odds with you at the moment, the school teacher or whatever. Just you need to listen to your higher power, your God, whatever you feel in your soul.
Yeah, to add in another thing, because this is really important, especially for believers in God. Actually, no, that's not necessarily true. This goes for anybody with a higher power. One of the biggest takeaways that I took away was the fact that you always have some type of evil. We call it Jezebel, the spirit of Jezebel, whispering in our ear. There is always some type of negativity that's whispering in your ear, that's trying to get your attention, that's feeding you in the wrong direction. So we took parchment paper. Everyone at the retreat took parchment paper. They had two fires outside, and we would write. Um, what's the best way to describe the way we wrote it?
We wrote down beliefs that were not true, beliefs that other people put into our heads, whoever those people might be that said you're not good enough or you're weak or you are whatever, that you're not cut out for whatever.
It gave me a real strong understanding and remembrance of how easily, especially when it comes to people that do believe in God, the more spiritual you become, the more that you have that Jezebel voice in your ear that's telling you, oh, you don't need to tithe today, or you don't need to go to church today. It's cold out, or, there's snow on the ground. So, let's just not do this. Even outside of religion, your girlfriend, your wife says something to you don't like, you kind of got that whisper in your ear, "Oh, I'm not going to put up with this," What kind of man sits around and puts up with this? I'm going to put her in her place. That's that Jezebel spirit in your ear, whispering that toxic masculine role into your ear.
Before you go further, I want to deliver the core message real quick. Then I want to jump back into that Jezebel thing you were just discussing. So the core message today is that a strong man knows who he is. A confident man lives that, and a godly man loves from that. So that's the core message for today. But back to that Jezebel thing that you were just saying, like it's too icy or too cold or too snowy, whatever. I was having a talk with a gentleman the other day, and we were talking about accountability. It wasn't you. Don't worry. Not calling you out yet, but, where, you say you're gonna do something and it's too cold, or, I'm too tired today, or I wanna sleep in today, so I'm not gonna do what I promised myself I was going to do. And that is also, not the right voice to listen to, because if you made a promise to yourself to make yourself better and you're allowing the cold weather or whatever, the ice on the ground or the fact that you're tired or you had a late night or you have a headache, if you're letting that get in the way of making you better, then you're not a strong man.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
I mean, even you and I, we went out for that walk around the lake, and man, I actually just want to tell that story real quick because we were leaving the room and I looked at my phone at the weather and it was 0 degrees with it feels like of 0 degrees. And I was like, this can't be that terrible because back in Rhode Island, when I go to work in the morning, it's like usually 8 degrees with a feel like of -10. So I'm like, so it should feel warmer. And when we left, it didn't feel terrible.
No,
And we
didn't.
got like a half mile down the road and we are walking and man, my eyeballs started to freeze. My snot running out of my nose started to freeze all over my mustache. You looked like the abominable snowman. You were like all covered in frost and white, and
It did.
there was this weird like moisture in the air, but it was connecting to every piece of hair on my body. It was
Yeah,
crazy. So we did not make it all the way around the lake. It was too cold. We had to cut it at short before we died. But yeah, but it was an interesting walk. But we said we were going to get up and do it, and we got up and we
or
did
it
it.
did.
So
We stuck to it.
we allowed the cold to cut it short, but we didn't make excuses to not do it.
Nope.
So,
Nope, and we knew at the same time too. I mean, unfortunately, we knew with my pain, I wasn't making it all the way around the lake, but I don't think there was a chance in anything that I was making it that to walk that. But it was amazing to see the pictures at church today. I mean, there was probably 100 guys that went out running at 5 o'clock in the morning.
it was not 100 guys running.
You didn't show the pictures this morning
You know what? I was
before you
gonna say
walked
something to
into
you because I
church?
did, but when those pictures had daylight in them.
Yeah, no, not the pictures in there. They had pictures outside before you walked
Oh, I missed that.
inside.
I missed that.
Yeah, they had pictures. There was a lot of guys that ran. Now, I don't know if that was like a combination of all the days, but all the guys that got together and got up in the morning. But yeah, in church, it was funny. I was surprised they didn't show the early morning photos because I mean that's showing the structure of discipline. Having that discipline. You were in a Bible study and you committed to actually following through and getting up and going out the door at 5 o'clock in the morning in 0 degrees to go around the lake.
Yes.
And the perfect explanation, and I say this too, Sunday is a big deal to me. It's a very overwhelming day. I have to get up and actually put myself in the shower early in the morning, especially in the cold before church. It's a very, very painful ordeal. Very painful ordeal getting in the shower because of my amputation. Um, and then I've got to take myself to church. I've got to deal with who's ever driving. I hope that if it's an Uber driver or one of the boys, I get there safely regardless. And then my pain ends up really bad throughout the day, which messes with my mind a lot. And we still have the podcast Sunday night, but that is a promise that I've made to myself. It's a promise I've made to God. It's a promise I've made to you. It's a promise I've made to the people who watch us. To me, that's a it really is it's a non-negotiable, even though I'm saying it non-negotiable is really not something to talk about. But for me personally, it's a non-negotiable. It doesn't matter what's going on in my mind. It doesn't matter what my pain level is at. I show up for church no matter what. I show up for our podcast no matter what. You have to stick through to the promises that you make in life, whether you make them to people close to you make them to God, or you make them to people that are going to view you go on and discuss whatever you're going to discuss this week on your podcast. you need to follow through. That is being a healthy man.
Yes. So I want to get into the strength, what strength means, what spiritual leadership means, and what confidence means as far as
Kratz is in the
this
house.
episode. Kratz, what's going on, brother? So strength is it's discipline, it's consistency, and it's humility. You agree with all that? Okay. Spiritual leadership over so there's two kinds of leadership, and that's spiritual leadership over ego leadership. And spiritual leadership is it's where you want to follow that person, or you are a leader that people want to follow. You have a purpose. And speaking of purpose, check out Session and Lessons latest podcast where they talk about purpose and passion. It's a good one. Okay, so that leader has a purpose, and he or she has their people follow them because they have a purpose. Ego leadership has that look at me, I'm in charge, I'm the boss, I got the promotion. It's a follow me because I'm proud of my promotion. I'm proud of that whatever. I've kissed enough butt to get here.
Yeah, you're boasting.
Yes.
You're boasting.
Two kinds of leadership, and that would be the spiritual leadership and the ego leadership. And you really want to be focusing on spiritual leadership. If you are not a believer, which that's fine, I suppose. I won't judge you. It's not my
Cliff is
job.
in the house. How you doing, Cliff?
What's going on, Cliff?
Gentile Kyle. How you doing, Gentile Kyle?
But that kind of leadership, like I said, if you're not spiritual, that's fine. It is what it is, I guess. But you need to allow your higher power to guide you into that leadership role. And then
And
the
it
last
should
but
be
not least
healthy.
for this part is confidence comes from obedience.
Your confidence does come from obedience. To me, the more obedient I am to God, the more confidence I have um, in a lot of areas, for sure. I lost my confidence for a long time. How you doing, Glow?
What's going on, Glow?
I lost my confidence for a long time after my injury, especially when things started to go south psychologically on top of it, and then with the amputation, that messed with things a lot. And the more work that I've put in with God, which can be your higher power, but the more work I personally put in with God, the more I was reminded that it's okay. I was made in God's image. I am exactly the way God wanted me to be. I'm a good looking guy. I know that I can look in the mirror and the guy looking back at me, I love him.
What
So
counts?
exactly. That's
So before we go further, if you guys need some coaching, well, I do have a few one-on-one spots available. So reach out, northmancoaching.com, and book your free session. Let's figure out where you're at right now and where you're trying to go. And if I can help you, I want to help you. If I can't, then it is what it is. I have plenty of people that I can recommend you to, but I'd love to help you if I can. So reach out at northmancoaching.com and grab your free 60-minute call, guys. All right.
Or if you're in your first 30 days of divorce as well, the decisions that you make, the choices that you make in the first 30 days after the divorce word comes up is going to be very critical, and it could change the way that your life goes for many years to come. So also at northmancoaching.com, you can download a free ebook. That ebook will give you all the direction that you need to make the right decisions that will not harm you. And there's the possibility that you could save your marriage. I try to say to everybody, it's not something that you should hold on to. Some marriages end up not meant to be. And nobody wants to hear that in those circumstances. But whether you're a Christian like us or you have your higher power, whatever it may be in this world, sometimes things just aren't meant to be. So if you are in that area, go to northmancoaching.com, download that free ebook, or like Harry said, reach out to him for that free 60-minute session call. It can change the way that things go. It definitely changed the way that my life would. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right. So back to your lack of confidence or when you lost it with your accident. Tell me about
Sure.
that.
Well, I didn't realize it at first. At first, it was kind of just I was spiraling out of control, realizing that I was so hurt, having to accept that the doctors were telling me that I was basically destroyed, not being able to go to work, which was my world. Also, what I formed my identity into, which was unhealthy. I think that just always was, though. Construction was all I ever knew. That's all I've ever done. From there, as situations got worse and the psychological impact kicked in, then yeah, then I lost all confidence in myself. Not only could I not control the pain that I was in, but I couldn't control my own thoughts. I couldn't control my dreams. I couldn't control having panic attacks, going out and seeing a construction site or you know, God forgive me for using your name, but God forbid seeing a crane. I panicked beyond belief. And made me feel really weak. That made me feel like a really weak man. And the worse that it got, because it did, it continued for a while to get worse and worse before it got to its point where it decided it was going to stay. It drained all my confidence in life out 100%. I didn't, I wasn't comfortable with the man in the mirror. So I took all my pain, anger, and the feeling of being crazy out on my loved ones. I took it out on my wife. I took it out on my children. And then before you know it, everybody was done. Everybody was completely done. And now I was alone. So now I was a completely lost man who's not only their wife, but children walked out as well. And I fell apart. If I didn't have you, I don't know where I would have
Well, before
gone.
me, you had God.
Yeah. I mean, that is true. But in that place, unfortunately, I wasn't reaching out to God. Like a lot of men, I was angry. I didn't blame God. I can say that. I never blamed God or felt like it was his fault or he had anything to do with what happened to me, but I was angry and my head just wasn't in the right place. So I wasn't praying. I wasn't reading the Bible. I was just lost, just
She also
waiting to
has a
get to the
question. I can
next
see only half
thoughts.
of it.
How do you know the difference between God testing your marriage versus not meant to be? Well, regarding the D word, so do you want to take that?
Repeat the question 'cause I can't see it.
He said, regarding the D word, the book, how do you know the difference between God testing your marriage versus not meant to be?
So I think that God testing your marriage is just general things that you guys can work through. Arguments that you can see both sides. There's listening on both parts versus it not meant to be. I don't want to call anybody out right now, but there is a situation that we discussed today. If you want to bring that up, feel free. Say yes or no.
What I can bring up my situation. Are
Not
you
you,
talking to
somebody
me?
else.
Well, I can bring up mine too, really quick, while we see if he wants to chime in on that. But my situation, it wasn't that it wasn't meant to be. It was definitely God testing my marriage, and it was definitely God reaching down and giving me the big godly smack that I wasn't being faithful. My masculinity was extremely toxic. And better lack of words, I was being a piece of. So I needed to realize the person that I became, the person that I was being, and how unfair it was that I was taking that out. Yes, Godsmack. There you go, Jill. Jill said Godsmack. Yeah. God reached down and he did. He smacked it right out of me. And it took me a bit to get her to talk to me. It wasn't that she wouldn't hear me or that she wanted to be done with me or she wanted to fight with me. There was just no communication. So it took time and her watching from the outside and hearing from the conversations that I would have from the kids where I was at before she spoke to me. And I mean, I want to say it was at least 6 months. Maybe it might even have been longer than that. But that was God testing my marriage instead of it being the case where it wasn't meant to be. I needed to make the changes, and God was going to show me either I was going to make the changes or I was going to lose my wife. I hope that answers your question. I don't see that he didn't respond in that. Kratz had just said, good one to Cliff. Joel said, Godsmack. Kratz said, thanks, brother. Joel said, sometimes that's what it takes. Absolutely, Joel. I think that's exactly what it takes sometimes. I think God needs to remind us what our roles are sometimes in life, whether we're a man or a woman,
He didn't what? What are you talking
right?
about?
But I'm only going to speak for men. For men, especially when we're younger, we get into
AJ, you're
toxic
frozen, dude.
roles. We fall into
Nope.
toxic situations. A lot of, wow, I lost Gary in the middle of our, Gary, I just lost you on the computer. What happened? That's weird. Well, I'm still live on Riverside. I hope you can get back in. Turn you up on here. Oh, talk for a minute, Gary. Don't kick off your TikTok.
Yeah, I'm on TikTok now because
Mm.
this I just sit down on.
The Riverside's still on, and I'm still live in your studio.
What do you see? Me.
Just me. I don't see you, but
All right, we'll keep talking then.
yeah,
While I figured this out.
no,
This sucks. Sorry.
you just need to go back into your studio.
I can't. It says unable to connect.
Really? Let's see. No,
Anyway, where were we?
yeah, I was just talking about when you're younger, being in toxic roles. You're basically still on the Godsmack, God. As Joe so said it, I'm going to keep that one for a while. Yeah. So it was more just about not being in that toxic masculinity role. You had said, I can't remember the last statement you made, Gary. I'm sorry, brother. It was something about following. Yeah, I don't know. Just move on.
Right, so
That's
I'm
all.
connected again, but I can't get back in.
It's all right. Let's move on.
Okay.
They can still hear you on Riverside.
Can they really? All right. That's
Yeah.
cool. Perfect then. As long as they still hear me, I guess that's all that matters.
I was trying to move the phone down so that I knew for sure that it could hear you. And yeah, I dropped you off the thing. Guess we are a mess today. Wow. Now see, here you go. This is a perfect example. This is
Boom. I'm back.
Jezebel. There you are. All right. That is a perfect example. Turn down the TikTok. Turn it down.
Wow. I love the technical difficulties. All right. Now we're back. That's good.
Turn yourself down. You're at 100. Your volume, your voice is at 100.
Right now? Even still?
Now you're better.
Okay.
This is a perfect example of the devil not wanting a message to get put out. When you lose yourself in the middle of a live broadcast, and then we're on TikTok and I drop the phone. See, this is God's divine intervention. That was the Holy Spirit right there coming in and saying, nope, you're not going to ruin what my two sons are doing. You're going to let them keep going.
Yes.
Get out of the way.
Okay. So the next thing we were going to talk about before all this happened was believing what people tell us. People that are not our higher power, that are not God. So what our exes are telling us, or our friends, or enemies, or neighbors, or whoever, and what they tell us. And this was part of what we did when we burned those papers. Was, I'm not good enough. I'm not, and they're limiting beliefs. What are you smiling at? You got comments I can't see?
Yeah. So Cliff, I don't know if I missed anything while all that crazy was going on, but Cliff wrote, a few made me think, is this still meant to be? But the challenge passed and we came out stronger. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. We did. We came out stronger and we're on the other side. And
Yes,
that's what matters. God kicked us through it.
absolutely. So
Continue, brother.
when our exes or our parents or whoever might tell us, or social media might, that what they say, that you're not good enough, you're not rich enough, you're too old. And when we buy into that, that is us limiting ourselves by believing this stuff. So we don't move forward with the things that we want to do, because we were told by unimportant people or the social media that we can't do it. So those are what we burned. Those things that people have told us, exes and whatever, that, or whatever we believed, we burned those because we know that they are not true.
The only thing that matters is the direction that God is sending us in. Speaking of which, as a matter of fact, the book that you got me, uh, devotions, men's devotion book that has the bookmark in it. This morning's, I think it was this morning's prayer. To this morning's or tomorrow morning's.
Why do you know tomorrow mornings?
Because I was putting the bookmark over into tomorrow when I open it in the morning. It was basically saying something about the difficulties of a very wealthy man making it into heaven is like fitting a camel through the eye of a needle, because men that are full of their riches and allow those, that greed, that negativity run your life will make it very difficult to get into heaven later on, because what you worshiped in this world was money. You didn't worship God, you worshiped money. And that's exactly the same idea. If you're listening to other people and letting them guide your life, then you're not following God. You're not following what God's telling you to do. And that's why we burn those parchments, to get rid of those old beliefs,
Yes.
to release those thoughts.
So to have a positive identity reset, it's important to remember that you are growing, you are becoming, you are equipped, you are chosen. And the biggest one that I had an issue with is you are not behind. I would see things where people were doing things and they were younger than me, or they had careers longer than mine. And I'd be like, I'm so far behind. And you're not behind. You're learning, you're in training. So, yeah, that's what I got for that.
Cliff just said, so how do you ignore those outside voices when they come from people you love and look up to? So I'm going to give you a quick shout clip. So I think it's extremely hard. My second oldest son has wanted to come to church with me for a very long time now. And his wife has been telling him for the last 6 months easily that his stuff would be out on the front porch if he got up and went to church with me. And it was very nice this morning at 8 a.m. to see that my son was actually out front of the house to pick me up and bring me to church. And he finally made that decision that he was going to follow what he knew was right for him and not just because that's his wife and somebody he loves and seems to love him very much. Just because that's what she had to say doesn't mean that that was what was right for him. He knew what was right for him was to go to church. I hope that answers your question there, Cliff. If an outside voice is steering you in a direction that you know is not right for you or that doesn't align with your values, then you shouldn't be listening to that voice regardless of where it comes from.
And honestly, if it's someone that you're, married to or a parent or something, and they are telling you negative things, you need to question that because, I mean, other than telling my daughter that she can't fly if she jumps off a building, I tell her that she can do whatever she puts her mind to. I will never stop her from trying to do the best she can.
You shouldn't. I mean, it's true. There are a lot of us have loved ones that, you know, give us Foodie Mom says hi. How you doing, Foodie Mom? And Chris is in the chat as well. How you doing,
What's going on,
Chris?
Chris?
Yeah, a lot of us have loved ones that try to lead us in directions that don't align with our values, that go against, all of our boundaries. And it takes a healthy man to know not to listen to those messages, not to listen to those things that you're told, and not allow them to guide your life.
Yes.
So, not a man, but stopped into here. Y'all definitely help me to understand men more. Oh, I'm happy to hear that, Foodie Mom. But this isn't for men. The podcast is definitely not a men's group. You're always welcome.
Yes.
The podcast is
Everybody,
it is yeah, it is for everybody.
even children.
She
We don't
said
curse that much.
what they offer is for everyone. That's right. Chris said, I'm alive. Not that it matters to anyone but me. Well, that's not true, Chris. There are people out there that care about you. Your men's group cares about you, brother. We care about you. But it is most important that you care about yourself first.
Number
But
one.
we also do care about you, brother.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about Valentine's Day, brother.
Well, yes. So, what I wanted to talk about Valentine's Day was that it is coming up before our next podcast. And for all of you that have downloaded my 30-day ebook, if you are going through a divorce or you are separated or you're married even, whatever, and you don't know what to do for that woman in your life for Valentine's Day, you have to listen to your heart. You can't do it because Hallmark says do it. You can't do it because everyone says you should do this. So you have to really listen to your heart. And if you are going through that divorce or separation, you really have to listen because you could screw up the progress of rebuilding what is on the rocks if you get something over the top or get nothing at all. You have to figure that out, use your discernment and figure out where you're going. Like what does your heart tell you that you should be doing right now? Just your heart. That's it. Don't put anything else into it.
Jill said, Glow has me. She already has enough. Foodie Mom said, LOL. I got cheated and left on Valentine's Day. Yeah, I don't like it anymore. I'm really sorry to hear
It's
that,
terrible.
Foodie Mom. That's terrible. Yeah, that's definitely a piece of
What a day. Seriously, why?
toxic. That's a real toxic man right there. That's a real toxic man. Somebody that can take a day that's supposed to be built around love and turn it into that. But on that note, I mean that is the truth. Foodie Mom said that sucks. How you doing, Matthew? Matthew says it wasn't me. It really is true, though, right? A perfect example. Me and Catherine we never exchanged gifts really for Valentine's Day. Here and there, we may buy each other chocolate or something like that. But nothing major. There may have been a year or two that I bought her flowers, just to say I love you. But the idea Valentine's Day is supposed to be two people coming together with true love. It's not supposed to be about presents. It's not supposed to be about cards and chocolates and all the crap that gets promoted out there. It's supposed to be about love.
So my question for you then is, why is it that day? Why not every day?
Well, that it is supposed to be every day. It is. It's just a day that's supposed to be dedicated to a special. And my thoughts on it. We don't really need Valentine's Day. Joel said every day is Valentine's Day. Yep, you're right, Joel.
Joel is
It's
100% correct.
kind of overrated, but the love should be year round. Foodie Mom said, I agree. The way that I look at Valentine's Day is just a day to stop, though. It's a day to stop and say, okay, we're not going to focus on the everyday normal life today. We're going to try to shut down today, make this solely about the two of us. So if we need to, get a babysitter for your kids, go out to dinner, do something nice, go out on a date. You can't do that all the time. You should have date night. You should try to do that often. But to me, that's what Valentine's Day has always meant to me.
So
Gary's smiling, so maybe he doesn't agree.
I'm going to shoot
That's
you down
okay.
again. Being a guy that
God,
used to be in the restaurant business,
yep.
Valentine's Day is the worst day to take your woman out to dinner
Why?
because the restaurants are packed.
Just poor cook?
No, the restaurants are packed and no one's happy. The servers are not happy because everything is a two top. So all the big parties that they could have, they're not happening on Valentine's Day. So now the cooks are being rushed to make all this food, especially this year because it's on a Saturday. So you're not getting quality food. You're not getting quality service. I'd always went out the 2 days prior, or if it landed on a weekend, I would go at Thursday or the following Monday or whatever, because you don't have to celebrate it on the 14th of February.
Well, no. I mean, me and Catherine are going out Friday. She works Saturday. She's not going to just take a day off of work. Um,
You take it on Friday
okay.
the 13th, you should take it camping.
Foodie Mom says, I didn't realize it was that.
You should
That's
take it
terrible.
camping
Foodie
to
Mom
Crystal
says
Lake.
she's got to go. You have a great night too, Foodie Mom.
Have a good night.
Joel said, gonna hire Gary to make our Valentine's Day meal. Yeah, have a good night.
I would love to do that for you guys.
You have no idea. I mean, you guys see the picture of this man's food. I've ate it. It's phenomenal. So yeah, like we're going out the night before to go out for dinner, but that's the idea of it to me. I think there should be no day that is more special than another in a relationship. There should be absolutely no reason why Christmas or birthdays or I've heard that many times that birthdays, holidays, I said this to you while we were at the retreat, the conversation that we had with Kate about the idea of normal, especially when it comes to intimate relations. How after like that 10-year mark in a marriage that a man is basically lucky. Cliff says he's got to get back to work. Have a good one, Cliff.
Get to work, brother.
So I lost my, oh yeah. After 10 years in a relationship, most men don't get, intimacy or anything special with their wife other than on holidays, birthdays, or, or Valentine's Day. That's more or less, they're lucky if that's when they get it. That's what the average is to a marriage after 10 years. To me, I feel really bad if you have spent 10 years of your life with an individual and a point comes that there is any truth in that, because you have missed a lot of red flags and not paid attention if your marriage turns out to be something like that. And there may be people out there that say, oh, well, he's young. He doesn't know what it's like with a woman going through menopause. Well, my wife has been in menopause for 9 years at this point, and I'm only 41. So I know exactly what it's like to go there. I know what it changes hormonally. And yes, there are some hormonal changes getting deeper into a marriage. That should not mean that the love changes. That should not mean that intimacy changes. And as we've discussed this before, intimacy does not have to be, I'm not sure a good word to use, but I don't want to get kicked off TikTok. So
It's
we'll
fine.
just
Use the
go
word.
with we're all adults and you know
Intimacy
what we
doesn't
mean.
have to be sex. It's a real word. It's not a bad word. It's actually a good word to know about. And it's the truth. Intimacy is not about sex. Intimacy
It's not
is, what was the saying I said
the
about it?
S word. Matt said the S word.
Intimacy is the act of respecting, listening, honoring, and sex is the outcome. I
I
think that's
like
the way it
that.
goes. But I might have got the words mixed up, but I mean, but
I like it. I
basically
don't
that's
know
what
where
it
you
is.
got it from, but I like it.
Yeah, I don't know where I got it from either. I might have made that up a little bit. Got something somewhere. I don't know.
That's
Whatever.
all right.
But so I am not in a relationship, but when I was married, even toward the end, we were intimate. I mean, at least once a week. So even when we knew that we were fighting or arguing, we made it a thing to make sure that we tried our best to work on things, I guess, but we didn't work out. I don't know. But yeah, I was never one of those once a year people like that. I couldn't. If you're Doing once a year, someone's getting something somewhere else, and it's not good.
I've always struggled with certain things with Catherine, like with dates and stuff. Catherine's never really wanted dates to always be once a week. She didn't think that it was important. We found date night, like Joel said, like, we would just hang around the house. We'd rather watch TV and lie in bed or fall asleep on the couch watching a movie. That is one thing that did change with menopause. Hot flashes kill you cuddling. That's the end of that. Look forward to buying king size, or if you have dogs like I did, an Alaskan king size. Good luck. Make sure you're far away as possible if you're a guy that runs hot like me. But yeah, she's never cared about that stuff, and I try to be very pushy about it because I see how easily love can fade away, and just I see it constantly. And I see the signs where things start to slip. That is one thing that I can say with, really still in this, Joel. My Godsmack definitely really opened my eyes to a lot of areas where things go south. Like when we were at our retreat, and I kind of found myself in a little bit of a place where I was feeling a little insecure for a moment. And I walked around with that insecurity for a little bit, and I was like, oh, I just don't know what's going on. My wife's not talking to me on the phone. She's not messaging me. Like, it's not, nothing's really going on here. What the hell, And I went to the bathroom and I had a quick chat with God and came out of the bathroom, and I don't remember exactly what you said after I said, I don't know what I'm worried about here. Like, I know my worth. I know the man I am. And if there's a problem, there's a problem. I love myself. I'm a good catch. I know I am. I'm a good looking guy. If she doesn't want to be with me for some reason, then she doesn't want to be with me. And we move on in life. That's something I accept. It's funny. Gary said something to the results of, oh, your balls dropped again. Good
Yes,
old Gary.
don't let her keep
But
those
it's
in the
very true.
purse.
But yeah, it's very true, right? You have to stay in a good role. You have to pay attention to signs. You do have to know the person that you're with. Because Joel, you're right. A lot of women are like you. A lot of relationships are like you and Glow, and a lot of relationships are like mine and Kate's, where I have to pay attention to those situations. I have to make sure that they don't go too few and far in between.
Absolutely. So, we can't go too much longer because the Super Bowl is on tonight, and
Oh yeah,
the
look at that. That's
pregame
right.
show is Green Day, and my daughter wants to see that on the big TV, so that we have to kill this
Yeah,
before then,
okay.
which is
Yeah.
12, 13 minutes. To
I'm
wrap it up
actually watching
shortly,
it.
if you're in
Yeah.
a relationship, guys, or if you're getting into one, you have to show that love. Not just every Friday or every Saturday, every day. Date nights don't have to cost a dime. You can, like AJ said, they could be watching TV, but it's that taking that time to be intentional with her. And so she can be intentional with you. You want to feel that intimacy. Where was I going besides that? Oh, and if you guys have not joined our school, SKOOL, go to northmancoaching.com. Join our school, $26 a month for the year of 2026 or $200 for the year, which you'll save more money, which is brings it down to 54 cents a day. And for that, you're going to get 4 meetings a week. So if that investment of 54 cents or 85 cents, 84, whatever it is, if you are not worth that, I challenge you to look down at that cup of Starbucks you're buying for yourself, even if you're going cheap and get a Dunkin' Donuts. Take a look at that
Even
coffee.
if you go into Cumberland Farms,
Yes,
Cumberland Farms still costs over $1 for a coffee, so if you don't value yourself at the dollar coffee you get at Cumberland Farms, yeah, you really need to take a look at it. Joel, thank you for putting the school in the link. You really need to know your worth. That is definitely true. There are also outside of those 4 groups, there's also a classroom in there as well. There's a class to take right now, and there's 2 other classes that are being uploaded into school shortly. Gary has in the works that will be in there as well. Trust and believe when I say this, when I was going through my divorce, the one outside of God that I held on to was my Thursday night meeting. Back when I started my coaching and working with Gary and doing the men's group, all I really had to look forward to was just a Thursday night group. And my whole week hung on that. It made my week so much brighter because I practiced all the things that we discussed and all the things that I learned and everything that I took away from everybody that was in the group. And now there's 4. There's 4 groups a week. There's 4 groups a week. There's classes to take, and it's well worth it.
and plenty
Real
more coming.
quick, and yeah, and plenty more coming.
And
Joel said 80 yeah, it's actually just under 85 cents. Chris said, "LOL, I wish coffee was that cheap, no less than 250." So there you go. Glow says, "Where is everyone getting coffee this cheap?" Yeah, I'm not sure either, Glow. My coffee's like $7 if I buy it out of the house.
I brew my own.
That's why I
It's
don't
cheap.
buy coffee out of the house. But yeah, there you go, Chris, right there. Even if you're paying 250 for a coffee, school is, even if you're paying monthly, it's not even 85 cents. It's so much worth it, brother.
And if you think that you don't have time for those 4 meetings, I'm telling you now, 3 of the meetings are 30-minute check-ins. That's it, 30 minutes. One is on perspective and mindset to set you right for the week. And on Wednesdays, we have the bridge and application. So it's where you're at and where you're trying to go and how you're getting there. That's the bridge part. And then on Thursday, we have the hour and a half, 2-hour meeting where we just talk about, we have a icebreaker question, and then we get into whatever is on your mind. And I try to help you if we can. And then Friday is the accountability, reflection, and I throw a little gratitude into that. Quick 30-minute meetings, in and out.
That's Starbucks, Joel. Joel said $7. Where are they getting the beans from? To Dubai? Yeah, I don't know. That's Starbucks for you, bro.
Dubai chocolate, that's worth $7.
Hmm.
It's worth a lot more than that.
Oh, Dubai chocolate candy bars in Rhode Island are $12,
And they're not even Dubai, they're
good.
Dubai
They're not.
styled, which means they just got pistachios and green stuff in them.
Colombian roast is great. I prefer my Death Wish espresso roast. All right, gentlemen, kickoff is, like Chris said, at 6:09,
Yes.
and we are at 5:52. So that gives
We are
everyone
wrapping
just
it
a
up,
few
guys. Go
minutes.
watch the game. Let's go Patriots. Even
Yeah,
though the
let's go
Seahawks are favored, but
Patriots.
whatever. I was told in church to
What?
pray for the Patriots. Seahawks are way favored.
No, we're gonna pay for the Patriots because that's our
Sure.
team.
Okay. Oh, there's a dog. Okay. That's praying.
Said it's
There we go.
time for dog says it's time for the game.
All right. So
All
I'm
right,
going to
guys.
stop this
Have
and
a
then
great
end
night.
TikTok. Have a good night, guys.